Hello everybody, welcome back to another sleep-deprived update review. Today we're going to be talking about the Mining 2.0 update, which I think is like 1.9.4 if I'm correct, not 0.5, something like that. And we're just going to be talking about that today. Not a lot to talk about, but at the same time there is kind of a lot to talk about. There wasn't a ton in the update, but we do have some more things to talk about. That pertain to the update but sort of don't. So let me just get right into it. So the first thing, of course, is the Wheel of Fortune, he calls it. So there's a new grand prize, which is the familiar, and it actually is the first familiar to have a specific perk tied to it. So basically it puts the radius that you have when your light meter runs out and makes that bigger, which is pretty interesting. And I haven't actually tested it myself, so I don't know what that looks like. But it is pretty rare in the wheel, and I think it's about 3 platinum locks someone told me they sold it for recently, which is pretty crazy. That's more than some daily bonus prizes when they first released too, so that's pretty crazy. This is pretty rare, and it seems like I said, even more rare than VIP grand prizes right now. And I guess VIP is even more exclusive than mining coins at this point, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, and it seems like there's been a lot of bad RNG going around. I've seen a lot of people, complaining, including myself, that we didn't after spending like 100, 200, 300 coins, we don't really get anything super crazy. In my first 80 coins, I got 1 4-star, 1 3-star, and probably like 10 2-stars, and that's about it. But I do see why it would be very, very hard to get, because they don't want a bunch of people getting this familiar. It's got to be a good grand prize. It's got to be rare. That makes total sense. And I do actually like the design a lot more. I thought it was going to be identical to the daily bonus, but it's actually a wheel, which is really cool. And I kind of wish that that wheel was actually implemented instead of the daily bonus, where it's just like a wheel now. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, something else to note. I don't like how on the wheel it makes it seem as though the 5-star and the 4-star and everything has an equal chance to get, like the slot is the same size, because realistically that's not how the RNG works. It's more prone to getting the 1-star and 2-star, obviously. So I wish they would make it slimmer, like a actual Wheel of Fortune, or like an actual wheel spinner, so it looks more accurate. But that's just a nitpick, that's whatever. But the rewards are actually pretty interesting. You can get like fertilizer, and you can get a bunch of, not gemstones, but the nuggets. You can get keys, and that's pretty cool. I'm actually pretty happy. When I rolled my 4-star, I got pretty much the second most expensive item you can get from it, which is the stopwatch. Of course, the first most expensive item is the grand prize, which is about 3 platinum locks. The stopwatch is about like 75 to 80 world locks right now. Somehow the stopwatch keeps rising when everything else keeps dropping, which is very odd. But yeah, nonetheless, it's pretty insane how expensive the pocket watch is. And yeah, you can just get the pocket watch from the wheel, which is pretty good. I'm hoping it drops a little bit more, so I can get the epic pickaxe. But yeah, so it's yeah, that's about it for the wheel. It's an okay change. I like it a lot. I think it adds more to mining, so you get a little bit of a bonus every time you actually dedicate yourself to a mine for about 10 minutes. It's about an equal bonus to, I don't know, I guess you don't really get any bonuses when you finish a nether, because there's the equivalent of ingredients and the gems and whatever. You kind of understand what I mean. There's not really anything special or extra you get when you complete a netherworld. Maybe they should change that, but I digress. So let's move on to the Darkstone vendor. Now this has been very, very controversial, because in my opinion this is very I have a very love-hate relationship with the Darkstone vendors. This isn't anything new. We've seen stuff like this before with the Netherstone vendor, but this time it's trading Darkstones. Now, it should be said that these prices are a bit absurd, and I'm probably going to talk about that in its own video, because I kind of wrote a different script for this video, for this entire part, but I just kind of want to sweep by this quickly so this video doesn't have to be any longer than it needs to be, so I can cover everything. But I have a whole story about all these items and their prices and how many runs you have to do to get the Wings of the Deep, all that kind of stuff. I'm probably going to do a statistic video maybe tomorrow, something like that. But yeah, the mining helmet is 20 stones, which is pretty cool. It's a golden mining helmet. I predicted that this would actually be for 150 achievement stars, but it was actually just a dark stone item, which totally makes sense. There's the 3-range crossbow, which looks absolutely super cool. I like this a lot. It doesn't really add anything new. It's basically just like the harpoon gun or whatever, but it is cool to actually see like a crossbow coming into the game. I don't think we had a bow either, so this is pretty cool. Kind of a new item, kind of not a new item. It's 3-range, so yeah, it's pretty cool. The next thing is the dark carbon fiber rod for 100 stones. Now this takes a bit of a leap because it goes from 30 stones to 100 stones. And 100 stones, as you know, on average, they're not tradable, but these things are about like 30 world locks each. So this would be like 30 platinum locks, I think, for the dark carbon fiber rod. I don't think even the superior titanium or superior carbon fiber are anything more than, I don't know, 5 platinum locks. They couldn't be more than that. So jumping from 30 platinum locks, this must be like really good. I don't know how they buff this. Maybe they make it so you constantly get huges. It's insanely easy. Like maybe makes it so you automatically catch the fish so you don't even have to actually do anything. They have to make it like insanely good because this just doesn't seem worth it unless it's really good. But I digress, whatever. The next thing is the Swift Slicer. So we actually have something like this. It has a katana, and when you hit, it acts as like a sword. So we actually have the Quick Draw Blades of the Nether, which is basically the same thing, except this actually has double jump, so it's even more useful. The item actually is pretty good. It's got 135 earth damage, which is a really good item. I think the most damage we've ever had was that only did 135 physical. This does 135 earth damage, and elemental damage is way more important than physical in a lot of elements. So this is really good. But it is, again, 175 stones. Insanely expensive, and we'll get into that in another video, like I said. The next thing is the Dark Pickaxe, which acts the same as the Epic Pickaxe for 250 stones. And then the Wings of the Deep, which give triple jump, which is cool. Again, I'll get into that later in another video, but that's for 750 stones. Keep in mind that's 75,000 dark nuggets. 75,000. Just keep that in mind. The next thing we have is the mining enemy tweaks, actually. So this made it so the gassy is actually much more reactive, and I kind of have a test that I have. I took some recordings of the differences. And so basically the gassy, it's not like it basically goes after your actions 3 seconds ago. It literally goes to where you are like 1 second before it explodes. So it's much more viable. I wouldn't say it's like impossible to avoid. It's you just have to be paying a little bit more attention. But I'm glad that they made this change because the gassy before did almost nothing. I got like hit by it once in maybe 20 runs of mining, so it wasn't very good before, but now it actually is viable to actually try to avoid and stuff, so that's good. And maggots actually go into the ground 2 times as fast, so before they would shoot and then they would wait 4 seconds and go into the ground. Now they actually shoot and then wait only 2 seconds, so you kind of have to wait a second for them to pop back up again and make sure you have your eyes on them and you can, kill them or whatever. The next thing is new daily quests are released. I don't know any of them yet, but they probably have to do with mining. I predicted that they'd add more. They only have like 3 mining quests right now, or they did have 3 mining quests. I assume they added more just because all the other modes like farming and fishing and nether, they all have a bunch of different quests, so it only makes sense for mining to have a bunch of different quests too. But again, I don't really know any of these, so I couldn't tell you. The next thing is the newest community head item from New 10 or Bleth on Instagram called the Synthwave Helmet. I've been waiting for this for a long time. It's been in the files since the Alien and Head community item. I might actually pick this up instead of like saving my gems for the Black Tower, just because it's such a cool item. I think there's even an animation on the helmet. I could be totally wrong there, but it is super, super cool. And this is coming on October 1st with the new daily bonus prize and everything. The next thing is there's actually a game-breaking PvP glitch. Now, if you didn't know, if you are PvPing, there's some people that you just cannot hit for whatever reason. Like, when you hit them, it just doesn't do any damage at all. For some people, you can kill them. For some people, you can't. So it's kind of a game-breaking glitch right now. I don't know if it's like you can't hit mobile players or PC players or whatever, but it's weird. There's some sort of PvP glitch there. Now, it's not that bad because it's not like everybody PvPs. PvPing isn't like a super common thing for someone to do, but it is kind of breaking PvP right now, so you can't really get as many gems daily as you could. I never try to get my daily gems from PvP. It's only like 1,000, and I feel like it's just not worth that time, but I digress. That should probably be fixed in some sort of patch. They're probably not going to wait till October for that kind of thing, but whatever. Let's move on to the last thing. So the last thing is that Jake said in his words that there's going to be a lot of stuff in this update that he's not going to be talking about, and he's going to let us find those things. And the key phrase he says is, "I'm never going to talk about those things, and you may never find them." So the reason that, a lot of people would probably think, oh, he just means like the things in the patch notes, like the mining enemies getting fixed and the new daily quests or whatever, but that's not what he means, I feel like. That stuff's already revealed on Instagram, and people would probably find that stuff within a day. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you're going to go mining. You see the differences with the enemies. If you're getting new quests, you're going to see the differences. I think he's actually talking about the lore, because he says he's never going to talk about those things. When has he ever said that? Well, on live stream, when he's asked about, the light absorbing fragments, the flame shards, he says, I am not going to talk about that, or I cannot talk about those things. So he's saying sort of the same thing here. I think they actually changed the lore world, so now it's actually possible, and maybe there is actually a stage 5. Because before it seemed as though even when they tried everything they could, it was just never actually working. And maybe now the world aid, the lore world, may actually be working, because he's only said this again about like things that have to do with the lore of Pixel Worlds, and he says, I'm never gonna talk about those things. You may never find them. That kind of speak sounds like it would have to be doing with lore, but that's about all theorizing I have. Thank you guys so much for watching. My final rating for this update is about a 6.5, I'd say. Obviously, it's a small update, but for what it was, it's really good. Not talking about the prices of the Darkstones, the Darkstone items are super cool. The wheel is a fun new feature to get some extra stuff out of your, some extra rewards out of your mining. The new mining tweaks make it harder for you, which is good. There's new daily quests which make mining more viable. New community item, stuff like that. That's the PvP glitch is going to take it a little bit back. You know what? I'll give it a 7.5. It was a pretty solid update for what it's worth. They only did this in 2 weeks, and that's pretty good for this kind of update. They brought a new NPC. Actually, technically 2 if you count the mining wheel as an NPC. All this kind of stuff. They brought a lot more, and even if they actually added more for the lore side, I might have even given this an 8, but I don't know about that yet. So I might see you guys soon on the talk about the Wings of the Deep and stuff in terms of stone prices. But that's about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.